And after all that talk, 8-0 it is. Welcome to the shiny side review of the Pakistan-India game. Something we're building up for months and days, and it all fizzled out really fast, unfortunately, for Pakistan. I have with me today on the show two guests, Saud Hashimi, who we've seen before on the show. Hi, Saud.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Saud, like I mentioned before, has built several teams in Boston and New Jersey. We're talking about cricket. He's currently helping FIFA to sort out the Pakistan Football Federation. Then we have, for the first time on the show, Omer. I wish you come in there in happier time, but Omer Basir. Hi, Omer. How's it going?
Good. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Good morning, good evening to all.
Yeah, Omer's actually joining us from Houston, and I was just saying, I think the only thing worse than watching Pakistan lose a game is watching Pakistan lose a game, and you have to stay up the whole night to do that if you're living in the US. So respect for you, Omer. Omer is, again, he's very passionate about the game. He's really into the science of cricket. He still tries to spend time in the net, sorting his technique out. He's played state-level cricket in Canada. He's also played under-17. He was in the under-17 squad for the UAE at some point, played in the Sharjah Stadium. So clearly some cricket pedigree here, maybe more than what we've seen on TV today. But we have something in the segment on the show where before we start, we do a quick 33-second summary to summarize the day's play for the audience. Today, I'll take the liberty and do that myself. So starting off, Australia won the toss. They put us in. Sorry, India won the toss and they put us in. And Imam and Shafiq got off to what looked like a good start, but we lost the first wicket, I think, at 40 odd. And then 73 for 2, Babar and Rizwan had a good partnership. We were 145 for 2, and then suddenly we were 171 for 7. And the next thing you know, we were 191 all out. To be honest, once that happened, there was really no coming back. And yeah, once we came into the ball, it went according to India's plan pretty much. And yeah, that was it. This was probably the easiest summary I ever had to do since I started the show. 34 seconds. So guys, before we get into the details, initial thoughts on the game. Saud, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering whether we should just use adjectives to describe this game because it was quite terrible. Look, I tell you very honestly, from the very start, it was just a show of just how much India has come forth in the game of cricket and how much we haven't, right? So from the stadium to the quality of the team, to the quality of the decision making, to the mental capacity of some of these players. I mean, I tell you, I honestly, as you also said, we were perhaps not expecting us to win, but to lose so many wickets so fast and to do it playing stupid shots. I mean, I don't understand. Didn't the coaches tell them don't play stupid shots and get some runs? I mean, to Hassan Ali, and if the coaches didn't say it, didn't the captain say it? And if the captain and the coaches said it and they didn't do it, well, they shouldn't be bloody playing the game, right? For us. So I actually think it's really deep-seated stuff that comes out when this happens because, I mean, we were irresponsible. This was like bachas playing. So that's my real problem, right? It's not that we lost, it's that we were just bachas. I just think that's not good.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Saud. Omer, what's your initial reaction?
Yeah, very disappointing. I mean, going into this match, India were strong favorites. Let's be clear on that, right? I think there was one scenario in my head where Pakistan was winning. It didn't start that way. But given the bright start Pakistan had, I was excited, right? I was like, this is going really well. Bumrah hasn't gotten us out. The ball isn't swinging. And we were there, right? And Abdullah Shafiq and Imam got a few boundaries in the first few overs. But to me, the biggest thing, I think Saud mentioned a few good points. But even before that, I think it was a lack of intent, right? We were being controlled by India throughout. They figured out very quickly in the first 3 overs, there's no swing. Let's ball wicket to wicket. And we just stood there and played to that plan instead of, trying to be creative. And Abdullah Shafiq tried it. He got a nice boundary. But so I thought we just followed their plan versus trying to, take the lead.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the other thing is I'm guessing a lot of this show will be spent talking about our batting, right? Because that's what I think the game was effectively done when you were all out. But I can't stop thinking about this, right? So before we get into specifics, right, there's two ways of looking at this. One view is that, top 4 got a start and one of them should have gone on to make a big score. The other way, and I just pulled out the scorecard from the last game at Ahmedabad, where England against New Zealand, England's top 4 contributed about 140 and England went on to make 290. Our top 4 made about 155 today. So would you say the bigger chunk of the blame lies in the top four for not going for not going and scoring a big score? Or was it more about the guys who came in later and completely not following up? Saud, you want to take that first?
Yeah, look, Faris, I think at 150 for two, we were pretty well set, right? The commentators are talking about 300, doubling of the score, and all of this stuff. So I think Babar, I don't know why he did what he did, but I think after him, we lost 5 wickets that really, 4 wickets that we might not have lost had they played with, as Omer is saying, intent. But the intent at that time had to be different, right? So, I mean, the intent isn't swing your bat and get out on the next ball. I just don't understand. I mean, even in school, we would tell our team, "Bhai, 15 over baki hai, Jasa, please just get some bloody runs on the board, aram se." So it wasn't that the bowling got them out. See, this is what's annoying, right? So it was that they got themselves out. And I think Nasir Hussain said, he's great. And he said literally Pakistan have again manufactured a way to collapse, right? It's literally, he's like, we somehow figured out how to literally do the worst possible things we could and, and do
So
this to ourselves.
if
So
I hear you,
that's
if I hear you right, you're saying, to go back to my question, you're saying it's more about how the rest of the guys couldn't keep up with that, or is it more about the top four, one of them should have gone on?
No, I think 150 for two is a good score, right? Even when you lose Babar, it's not the end of the world. But the simple fact is that I think, we were meandering, even at 152 for whatever. If you looked at our run rate, it was continuously coming down, right?
Yeah.
And so they're meandering, exactly to Umar's point. And then the intent that they showed was all wrong at the wrong time. And fine, you can say, oh, so and so got unlucky, Chacha, haath lag gaya, but that was a white ball. Why did Chacha have to do that right away, right? I mean,
we'll come to
so I
specifics.
think,
We'll come to specifics in a little while.
yeah.
Again, going back to you, where do you see, structurally speaking, do you say the top order Sharma should have gone on to make a big one, or is it more about how we couldn't follow up with the top four did?
No, I think the last game or two we've forgotten that we have a soft underbelly, right? Our middle order is vastly inexperienced in the 50 over game. So, and this is what we saw today, right? Saud Shakil, a few games in, right? If Chacha, we know, really good with fast bowling, but just game awareness to Saud's point. But yeah, so I think the top three, 2 out of 3, rank in that top 10 for us, right? And we rely on them. Babar got some time today. Rizwan, again, has been amazing and he did well. But one of those top 4 really should have gone on and played a long innings. And that's how we play, right? We can look at England and we can look at India and say how they get all these rescue acts. But Pakistan typically does well when one of the top 3 or top 4 scores a big one.
I think India's plan, like Omer said, I think is spot on, right? Because their thing was, you know what, we will keep giving them 5 runs an over, that's fine. We have enough quality in our bowling to take wickets. And because they're not taking us on, because they only be at 150, say, so we can easily come back in the game. That was their mindset when they realized that the ball wasn't doing much. And it completely went to their plan because, again, we weren't taking it on. In terms of the specific dismissals, so if you look at the top 4 guys, Abdullah Shafiq, I think he played across the line a bit early in my view. I think the ball did a bit, but he didn't do a lot. And clearly by then we knew that the length wasn't really predictable on this pitch, right? So I think that's something which a lot of the shots the guys played, the length, they misread the length. And Saud Shakil, I think, went back to one he may have gone forward to and so on and so forth. So how do you guys look at the wickets? Do you think would you say generally the top 4 or 5, were they loose shots, or was it just good quality bowling which we couldn't have done anything about? Omar, you want to go first?
I think it was, and that's where the frustration creeps in, right? I think it was very loose batting. So Abdullah Shafiq, so out of the first 60 balls, 1 ball stayed low, which is the one that got Abdullah Shafiq out. So I think he can be forgiven, right? But Imam ul Haq, with all the experience and I think pedigree he brings, get out to a standard ball, length ball outside off stump, you cannot get caught out like that on a flat pitch, right? I think it's unforgivable, right? So him getting out like that, Babar as well, right? I mean, you look at that ball again and people are saying, oh, it stayed low, this and that. I don't think so, right? I think it was good ball, length ball on top of off stump, and he missed it, right? So I think, again, I don't think we can, it was great bowling. They stayed disciplined and we just started, throwing gifts at them.
Saud, what's your take on the good bowling versus loose shots?
No, I think it was solid bowling. So what India did is that they bowled and they fielded and they were quite professional about their cricket, right? And they just sort of waited for us to crack. And look, it's not like they were complacent. So if you look at like the wickets that they took, if you look at the changes that he made, there was always a plan going on. And in fact, man, I don't know if you noticed in the game, but when uh, when Shafiq got out, उससे पहले, right, at that ball, right, there was a meeting. Rohit had gone to him and they're talking about it, and they made this big show of moving the fielder in the deep, right? And I'm like, okay, they are basically showing him they're bowling him a short ball. And I swear to you, I think that the plan was okay, make him be slightly hesitant coming on the front foot and bowl that ball, and that's what they did. So look, I actually think that India were good quality professionals. I think that we, as always, our biggest weakness is this: it's lack of proper application, right? So Babar, all of us know that the ball is staying low. Why would you go back to a ball which is on? I just don't understand. So it
Yeah.
was like the laziest, I don't, and he, by the way, triggered the collapse. So if you offer, I mean, the one that I blame is Babar, actually, right? Because, I mean, that was a stupid, stupid shot to play like that. He was in full control.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So I think there's just a lot to be said about just who we are as a team, And you guys both know, okay, when we play now, it's always like when we play against a good team, our hope is we may win if a few people do something great. It's never like we never expect to win anymore. It hasn't happened for a long time, which is a sad reality.
It's also, I think,
For all
structurally
of us.
speaking, right? Like this is not less about this World Cup, right? But we have, so I completely
Yeah,
feel
it's
Asad
just in
Shafiq
general.
and Saud Shakil should be there. Having said that, we have two guys in, one of who has played 12 first-class games, the other one has played less than 10 ODIs, right? So the fact that I think 4 years ago, we should, like England, for example, and I use that as an example, last World Cup, Plunkett was one of the best bowlers. They knew he wouldn't be there next time around. They dropped him immediately, and they gave matches to new guys. So then similarly, at the end of this, every cycle, you need to see, okay, fine, who can be my World Cup guys for the next time? And anyone who's in the top 25, 30 should be given 10 to 15 games to kind of get used to how you play this kind of cricket, right? So we have guys like Saud Shakil and Asad Shafiq, who again, I reiterate, they absolutely need to be there because I think they're good enough. But I feel like they've been dealt a bad one, right? By not being given more matches, more exposure leading into it and coming into a draw, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Faris, look, I think they are new, but you have Nawaz, you have Shadab, you have, Iftikhar, you have players in there who played. Hassan Ali, right, who was a one-time, as you said, the best that we had. And for these players to play the way they did is actually the thing. I mean, you can find, Shafiq had a great game, Saud had a great game. Every great player has a game, has a bad miss, gets out on one, gets out on two. The issue is four of your middle order bats who are actually experienced or whatever Pakistan qualifies as experienced, getting out that way. And I mean, I just didn't see any thought about the fact that we could even score 30 more runs. Yeah, I mean, 220,
Yeah.
230 kar lete, kuch to ho jata, yaar. I mean, you don't do this. I remember, do you guys remember the final? I mean, I remember the 92 final. Everyone was so upset with Imran because he was scoring slowly.
Yeah.
But he said, look, the pitch isn't easy. Whatever we get to is better than trying to hit out and get out. So he was so controlled. And we needed that. I think we just miss this sense
I mean,
of like what
I
we
guess
do.
I guess that you
Right.
can say, right? So a lot of people were I thought about 150 for two. I thought we were looking decent for this track. I thought we were on track.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know what?
Yeah.
270, and if things go well, maybe more. That's what I was thinking. Run a ball is 270 wasn't crazy. Even to be honest, when Rizwan got out, I was like, okay, fine. 250 is still very doable. That's what I was thinking. Not 190 all out, even with 6 down, right? But all I thought the other guys had to do was keep their head, Shadab, Nawaz, Iftikhar, Hassan Ali, and so on. But there was some ridiculous shots, especially Nawaz and Hassan Ali going for those big shots. It didn't make any sense to me, really.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think these days in professional cricket, especially top 5 teams, you ever see teams succumb to these type of. Those days are gone, right? I mean, the reverse swing and so on and so forth. You don't see that anymore. So that's again self-reflection, right? I mean, where was our intent was there. All of a sudden, everyone wanted to score fast runs, but not the right time or the right way.
Not the right and horrible execution for that matter.
And I think Faris wo hota hi hai ki, they have a plan when they go into the match, right? But they don't adapt. And I think this is, India adapted. As we were discussing earlier, India adapted their plan to the pitch and to the condition. And we didn't. So unke dimag mein tha ki yaar 300 se upar karna hai, warna we have no chance. Now, when you actually face it, theek hai, fine. Babar out ho, theek hai, fine, Saud out ho gaya. But now all of a sudden you have four guys who should be able to say, yaar, the target is no longer 300 plus, the target is 250. And let's get to 250, right? At least. But yeah, it just doesn't, it seems to be absent. It's absent captaincy. It's absent from, I think, the way the strategy works. And in the top teams now, you can't afford it because the other teams are thinking all the time, right? They're changing their bowling style to suit the conditions and all of this stuff, right? So it's quite juvenile, unfortunately, Faris.
So I guess
It's
one
like
last
amateur.
thing, which I should have led with. How big was the toss, you guys think? Omer, you want to go first? Like, how big was losing the toss, and what could that have done?
So, I mentioned one scenario where I saw us win, right? That scenario was us putting India into bat, keeping them under 320, and that was our best chance to win the game. So I was quite, it didn't look good when we lost the toss, but after that, those first 2 overs, when the ball didn't move at all, barely did. We got like 4 boundaries in the first 2 overs. Like, this is going to be pretty good for us, right? And on that list, by the way, side point, I was thinking fakhar hota to kya hota, but
Same here, exactly.
But Abdullah did well, so I think we had the right starts. I don't think toss was going to be a factor, right? We didn't even get to that point.
Once we got to 150 for 2, right, the toss was we are already past that point, I think,
Right.
And to be honest, even the Indian bowler later on was saying that we thought this pitch was doing a bit, so we knew that this is not a 350 pitch, but this is more like a 280 pitch. That's what they said. So clearly, I'm not sure if we were having the same thinking within our batsmen or not, but it didn't really come across.
Well, Babar came out and said that hamara target we were thinking was 280, which to me was surprising. I think the way the first 10 overs went, I was, again, that lack of intent was, I thought they should have been aiming a little bit higher.
When Babar got out, a runner ball was going to get you 270 from there.
Yeah, so
why did you have to play like rash shots? Again, we come back to why did these batsmen have to play rash shots to get to a run of ball? So this is like a real breakdown, right? In either the communication, in the mental makeup or something. And I think this happens too much. So when Nasir says that only Pakistan can manufacture this thing, it means it's happened multiple times before. So we really do need to do something on this part. Not that we can change things. I think mentality doesn't change overnight, right? So we're stuck with what we have for now.
In terms of bowling, is there any point getting into it? Like, could we have tried anything differently? I mean, Omer, do you want to go first?
I was a bit surprised Nawaz came on to bowl before Haris, but I don't think really we had too much to play with. We saw Shine didn't swing the ball at all. It was nice to see Hassan Ali moving the ball. It was, again, one of the positives in our bowling. I think hopefully he keeps improving. But no, there was not much we could do with defending one team this sort of pitch.
So I guess as unfortunate as today was, the World Cup still going on, and we spoke about this yesterday that there's a lot of historical context to this game, but in terms of the tournament, whoever loses still has a very good shot of making it to the semi-final, right? Depending on what they do next. So we move forward, and we'll just quickly pull up our next, what's coming up next for Pakistan. So unfortunately, it seems like, and I say unfortunately because, in a game like this, you may want to go to the next game really fast. We have a 6-day gap. So our next game is Australia and Bengaluru next Friday. Then there's Afghanistan and there's South Africa. So how do you guys see things going forward? Would you make any changes to the team? And I'm not going to share my changes just yet, but all changes that come into my mind weirdly are bowling changes, even though batting is where we lost this game for sure. So, Omer, do you have any suggested changes you think you'd make for the next game?
I would not make any changes for going forward, especially given Australia, more fast bowling heavy. Chacha keeps his spot. Abdullah has done well enough to pass the ball. I don't see a replacement that's ready to come in. Stick with the same 11.
Saud, any changes for you?
Yeah, so I do think that we are missing, as we talked about last time, so it's this idea of a proper strike bowler. And there's only one in the squad, and it doesn't make it because Shadab is your vice captain, right? So I think this is something we need to think about because we need a guy who can move the ball. The ball is turning, right? The difference is Shadab turns it only one way. We talked about this, right?
You're
It's like
talking
a
about Osama
toothless
Mir, right?
lobster. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we need to make this change. In fact, I would go a little bit further and say that our bowling is so toothless that rather than even try and keep Nawaz in, I would add Fakhr to the lineup and send Nawaz as well, by the way. Because, no, look, I mean, I have to be honest. I think that our spinning options are abject. I mean, I think it's the hard bowls can bowl as well, right? If that's what we're going to be getting.
But that's a bit
I
unrealistic,
think we
right,
need
South?
to.
Because you won't have a sixth bowler then. So
No, no, no.
he
I don't know. I understand. I do understand, Faris. I'm just sharing my frustration and the fact
okay.
that I think Navaz has really not looked very, very good. But yes, I think we're locked unless we're willing to drop shut up.
So I
If,
have two
if I can
things.
add,
Yeah, Omar, go on.
yeah. I was just gonna say, so Osama Mir, I want to see him play a part in the World Cup. I would wait one more game for us to go to Chennai, spinner friendly track, give him a game where he can maybe has a better chance of success and see how he does. Right? I think we need to figure it out. I think you're right with that. And with again going, I think with Chacha, it's an important point, right? Chacha could have been a great bowler, but Babar just doesn't seem to have confidence in him over the last few years. He doesn't give him enough overs. Otherwise, he could
Yeah.
have been a very strong sixth
I
So
mean,
option.
he's solid, right? He's solid enough. Chacha is solid enough, given that the other options aren't so good. And again, see, we're playing Australia, right? So adding Osama Mir, it could really make a difference, right? I mean, they actually do have trouble with a proper leggy. So that's why I'm suggesting we
yeah.
should consider. We really need
So
to think.
it's South.
Yeah.
Two things I have to say. A, it's ironic that we lost a game 100% because of our batting and we're just bringing a bowler in. That's what teams normally do. B, I agree with you. I think Osama has to come in. I'm not sure whether I would leave Shahbaz or Shadab or Nawaz out. I'm not sure which one. But I would bring Osama in for sure and take one of those guys out. That's what I would do.
Yeah, yeah.
Is if I can ask a question here, so Osama, because really we just need to make a change, or are you firm believers in his ability?
It's a good question. I think Osama, in terms of current form, in terms of bowling, is a definite step up in bowling quality from Shadab and Nawaz. I do have a question in my head whether the step up is sufficient enough. But I do think a change is needed, and I think it is an improvement in the bowling. Also, we're playing Australia. I'm pretty sure they haven't seen much of Osama. In fact, we barely played him, to be honest, at the international level. So I feel like he could be
And,
a good change.
yeah. And Umar, in a very American context, right? Osama is like a three weapon bowler, right? He actually has the ability to actually have a couple of different like balls. The problem with Shadab is he's highly, highly predictable now. He's just lost any sense of unpredictability. So I think we need that. And that's why I keep on calling him the strike bowler because I mean nobody else seems to be a strike bowler. Everyone
Yeah,
else seems to be contained sort of well. So I think he is necessary, and I think Australia is a perfect time to try it. That's what I would
yeah, yeah.
suggest, right?
Same.
It's not India. Against India, he could have been hit badly
Yeah,
and he not
yeah.
been in, and he not got his length and line right.
I was going to move on from
So
Pakistan, but one last question, guys. How big of an issue is Shaheen right now, whether it's his form or fitness or whatever he's churning out? Omar, what's your view?
I mean, big issue, right? I mean, every recent win you go back to, it's because Shaheen gave us an amazing start, especially with Naseem out. Really, we need that. We need that initial burst from him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, as just discussed, we don't have the firepower in the middle to follow on from him. So his coming back to form is essential to us. Really going till the last, the final game.
Does it seem like a fitness issue or like a form issue? Because his speeds also could be a bit down. So I'm not sure what's happening with him.
So one of the interesting things I read was that he injured his index finger that you all may have read about, right? And
Yeah.
apparently that's an issue now to grip the ball and lack of confidence and so on. Who knows if that's what's at play, or it has to be something like that. I mean, I don't think it's a loss of form where you just lose 10 kilometers per hour in speed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we have 6 days
I mean, it's
between the next
clearly,
game. So
yeah. I mean, look, he's clearly. I don't think he's fully fit. Whatever he's not fully fit, his mechanics look exactly right. And we know with fast bowlers, the mechanics are off. It's always something not for now. I don't know if it comes 6 days, but if we recovered in 6 days and he doesn't improve his form, what do we have? How do you possibly expect us to go far in this World Cup without Shaheen fighting, right?
Yeah.
Without actually having like someone like Musa Amin who's actually starting to create some issues, without one of these guys, one or two guys having like purple patches. So I think we just have to hope and pray. And hope that the physios, hope that the doctors get Shaheen back to some form. I mean, he's looked so ordinary. It's been very sad actually to watch.
Yeah.
Honestly, right? We just castled him. It's like one of the best in the world.
We need that doctor who brought Shubman Gill back from dengue in 3 days. We
Yeah,
need that
by the
same
way,
doctor for Shaheen.
that was so bizarre also. But
Yes.
moving on to
Look,
India,
we
guys.
all
So
know our sad history.
yeah, if you just look at
Yeah,
India's
continue.
fixtures quickly before we move on. So they have 3 wins out of 3. They have Bangladesh, New Zealand. So it looks like their semi-final spot is all but locked right now. Just about where they finish. And any thoughts on their schedule? How do you see their World Cup going? I guess it looks like they should hopefully, for their sake, win the next one and then really be in pole position to win 2 out of the next 5 and qualify, which includes a game against Netherlands, by the way.
Look,
So,
I think India looks just really good.
yeah.
I just think they look really good. I think they could beat every single team on that list. They're playing at home. I think you could actually. Now, obviously, it's one-day cricket, so stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
There will be a loss somewhere, but I think that they are.
And if you like a lot of people look at this tournament as that 6 teams who can possibly make it and the 4 who cannot, right? India has played 2 of the teams who can possibly make it already. So Australia and Pakistan fall in that category, right? So they've come and they've had big wins over us and Australia now. So clearly, yeah. Okay, guys, before we wrap up, we have a small matter of England resuming their campaign tomorrow. There is Afghanistan and England happening tomorrow in Delhi, which is the flattest track in the world. So I feel like it'll work quite well for England. England's likely 11. I don't see any reason for them to make a change. Chances are they're going to, if Stokes is fit, he may come back for Brook. Otherwise, Curran stays in over Moeen because it's Afghanistan. I think they would have the spin off any day, and I would keep Topley in for sure because I think he was what's missing in the lineup. Any views you guys have on this? Do you see England lining up differently?
I think that's an 11. I agree with what you just said, right? I think that's a perfect 11. And look, I mean, I think the World Cup needs him to come back, right? Stokes to come back. I mean,
what the World Cup really needs is a close game. I think almost every single game is decided with like 2 hours to go, which is bizarre, by the way. But okay, before we wrap up, we have a quiz. Which so Omer, you haven't been on the show before, so maybe you should be the one taking this quiz up. Or you can actually ask South for advice also. The quiz is, so Virat Kohli has been captain in 5 white ball games against Pakistan, includes both T20s and ODIs. How many of those has Pakistan won?
Well, I know one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, South, what is the answers? 2, so we got the 5 white ball games. I didn't think it was that many.
I was surprised to see it was only 5, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've won 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'm
That's what I
thinking.
think.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's say 3.
3? Okay.
Yeah.
I go with experience.
3,
no,
right?
You go with 2.
3 is correct. So it's a bit quirky because he was actually captain in this Asia Cup of 2014 where Afridi hit 2 sixes because Dhoni wasn't playing.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that.
And then in 2018, when he was captain, he missed the entire Asia Cup with Rohit was leading them. So which is why, weirdly, Kohli actually has his record against Pakistan is 40. He only won 40% of games as captain against Pakistan, which I thought was a bizarre stat, but something.
Look, I remember each one of these. It was all.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you guys for being on the show. Thank you, Omer, especially since it's your first time. And
thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sahil, for being on.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Take care.
If you like what we discussed, if you have a comment, if you have a view on what our team should be, please leave a comment. And Like our video, subscribe to our channel. We'll be back tomorrow night after the England-Afghanistan games. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.